Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank you for joining us for our brand new QuickBooks Quick Hits series. Over the next several months, we will be covering a number of different topics regarding QuickBooks and how to use it more efficiently. And Brittany Dank, our expert in QuickBooks, will be giving these presentations, and Brittany is certified in both QuickBooks Desktop and Online and has extensive knowledge in both programs. So with that, I would like to kick it off to Brittany and hope you all enjoy this new series. Brittany, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany. Today, I'm going to go over mastering QuickBooks bank feeds and auto-categorization within all levels of QuickBooks Online. So what are the QuickBooks bank feeds? They're a feature that enables you to connect your bank and credit card accounts to QuickBooks to allow the import of bank transactions and help streamline your bookkeeping process. So there are some great benefits to using the bank feeds. I'm personally a big fan, but it saves a ton of time doing data entry. It improves accuracy, has error reduction, and it helps streamline your bank reconciliations by basically auto-performing it, and I will show you that later in our demo. So with that being said, I'm going to toggle to QuickBooks and get started. Okay, so I'm working in a sample company now, so if you're a QuickBooks Online user, it might look a little bit different than this. If you're new to QuickBooks, it definitely will look different than this, but what you'll want to do is find your way to this transactions bar on the side, and you'll want to click on this bank transactions. Give that a second. Okay. So here we have 3 accounts already connected. And like I said, if you're new to QuickBooks Online, it's not going to look like this. It will prompt you to set up your account and to click and log in for the first time. And just before we get into how to do this, there are certain types of accounts that you can't connect within QuickBooks Online. Loan accounts, line of credit accounts, term deposit accounts, and investment accounts, you're not able to connect. QuickBooks does not support that function. The reason for loan accounts and line of credit accounts that you can't connect them is because on the balance sheet, they are liability accounts, not asset accounts. A bank account being an asset account, it'll flip the balance and cause your balance sheet to be kind of out of whack. So keep that in mind as you're setting things up. You can't connect any sort of line of credit or loan account. Okay, so to connect your account for the first time, you'll want to come over to this link account button. You can also show you a bunch of different ways to do it. I guess not. We'll stick with this one. So you can come to this link account button. Okay, so all of the major banks are going to come up right away. So Chase, Wells Fargo, US Bank, PNC. If you bank locally, like in Wisconsin, if you use Landmark or Summit Credit Union, you'll just have to type it in and you'll be able to find your bank. In the event that you don't find your bank, I would reach out with the person that you work with at your local bank and see if there's some way that they can work with you to set up this connection. I've seen it done in the past. Sometimes with smaller banks, they're willing to assist in that area. So once you find your bank, you'll click in, and since this is just a sample company, I can't walk through the sign-in steps, but a screen's going to come up. It's going to ask you to sign in. You're going to enter your username, your password. It'll send a code out. So you'll, go through those steps, and then on the next screen, it's going to ask you how far back do you want to bring in your bank transactions. I would always start with the first day following the most recent completed bank rec, because the last thing you want is to bring in 2 years worth of data. And I'll show you once you connect it and it brings everything in, you'll work off the bank feeds, and you don't want to have like 1,000 transactions sitting out in there because it takes a while to go through it. Then you'll have to waste time excluding it. Okay, so once your accounts are connected, you're going to come to a screen. It's going to look similar to this. It might not look exactly like this depending on how much data you've brought over. And this is a great example because there are transactions already out here ready to be matched. And as you're working through some of these matchable transactions, it's really important to look at the type of transaction it is, the date it takes place, and the amount. Let me scroll down. So you can filter by date depending on, if you wanted to look at oldest or newest, you can filter by date, description, payee, spent versus received. This is typically, I like to see it broken out sometimes by like spent or received, especially if I'm just matching, because then it allows me to quickly go, okay, this deposit on the 15th or the 16th matches the date on this one matches this one. And then you can kind of work through and bulk add everything and just hit accept. So once you hit accept on transactions, even if you're adding in bulk, they show up under this categorized section. So if you ever make a mistake matching something incorrectly with, let's say you match something in May with something that happened in January, odds are something's off with that. You can always come to this categorized section and search for it and just hit undo. And it brings it back to the for review tab, just for you to go over again and maybe try to match it with the correct transaction. And I can show you, there's a transaction here on 428, kind of what it looks like if you add a transaction. So you're going to add a deposit, receive a payment, add an expense, write a check. Those are the things that you're going to match with when you come to this screen. Sales receipts, refund receipts. If you know you've added a transaction, but you're not finding it on this screen, odds are it's outside of the filtered date range, or maybe you miskeyed the amount. So you can kind of tell QuickBooks, like, I want to force match this. So you'll just come here and click this match bubble. So it's going to bring up all of the transactions within a month or however far back you want to go within this date range. And then here you can see it's down here, but it's for 2436 instead of the 2438. So you can just select this box telling QuickBooks, I want to match these transactions. And then you're going to have this 2 cents difference. Just hit this resolve button and put it in whatever account that you use to post the initial expense is what you'll use. And then you just hit match. And that resolves that. And then if you ever have something within this screen that is a duplicate, let's say there was a glitch. I've already added this deposit. I've already matched it with something and you're unsure of why it's popping up again. You click this bubble and hit exclude. It gets it out of the for review section. It won't duplicate it into the bank register. And if you toggle to the excluded tab, here it is. And then if you realize you made a mistake here and it should be included, you can hit this undo button and it brings it back. Okay, and one of the many cool features of using the bank feeds is as you're going through your transactions, let's say you're doing it weekly and you just want to take a look at everything that you've matched so far, you can hit this go to bank register tab. And here's your checking account register. You can kind of scroll down and see everything that you have added so far. So let's say you're wanting to match something, but you're thinking, I already matched this, I already added it. You can just hit that go to bank register line and it'll take you right here and you can kind of review. Anything that has a C or this little green icon means that it's cleared and matched with something that hit the bank feeds. And this green box is important when you're doing the bank reconciliation. So when you're ready to do the bank recs monthly, you'll want to come to, there's a bunch of ways you can get here, but what's nice about QuickBooks is that you can start at the bank feed center and hit reconcile, or you can come back, hit bank register, and then hit this reconcile bar, and it just takes you right to where you need to go. So if you've never reconciled before, this is what it'll look like. But if you have, it should have your most recent statement end date with the beginning balance. And then you'll just enter current statement balance, current month end. I'll use May just for fun. And then hit start reconciling. Okay, so using the bank feeds feature, it allows QuickBooks to know, hey, this is something that's cleared the bank and matched with something, so it should be included in the reconciliation, and it auto checks off anything that's been matched. So this is where it could save you a ton of time instead of having to go through and match everything up on your monthly statement. Now you're just acting as another set of eyes as a reviewer. You're looking for anything that could be incorrect. I would say if you have a check or if you have a deposit that hit in the middle of the month that doesn't have this green box that's not checked off, it hasn't matched with something, odds are something is wrong with that deposit. So you can know to look into it. And then just pay close attention to anything that has a clear date that's matched with something. I always check reasonableness on whether the clear date matches the date that it was posted. Sometimes with checks, they'll be different, but they should be relatively within a few days, depending on like when you entered it. And then once this bubble's green, you can hit finish now. In this case, it's a sample company. I'll just close without saving. Brings us back to our bank transactions page. So another cool feature about the bank feeds page is you are able to set up and connect rules. So with QuickBooks Online, setting up these rules, this is something that I would recommend using. We Energies is a good example. Every single month you're paying your utility bill. So it's nice to set something up to tell QuickBooks, hey, when you recognize that a We Energy charge is going to hit or has hit the checking account, just go ahead and auto add it to utilities. Kind of saves time on that mundane like data entry. So to set up a rule, you'll come to this screen and then there's this new rule button over on the right. You'll just select new rule and you can call it whatever you want. You could say We Energies monthly utility, whatever it fits. You could do this with Verizon, Spectrum, rent, kind of anything that the bank is, you're able to reasonably tell what it is when it hits the bank account. You can set up a rule for it. The only reason I say that is because in order to set up the rule, in order for QuickBooks to identify it coming in from the bank, there has to be some description or bank text that gives it like an identifiable feature. So I would recommend going off of whatever most recent bank or credit card statement that you have and looking and seeing how did it hit that statement, like what did it say, and then adding the condition based upon what that says. So let's say the bank text says We Energies, or the description of the line item on the bank statement says We Energies. This is something that you're able to use that to set up your condition. And then it's an expense, it's a utility, you'll assign a category, you'll assign a vendor or a payee. I doubt this is set up since it's a sample company, but we'll see. That's fine. But yeah, you'll enter a payee. And then this is really important at the bottom here. This automatically confirmed transactions, this rule applies to. So if you select this auto add button, it will never show up in your for review tab. It'll auto add it to the register. And the only time you'll see it is in the bank reconciliation. So if you're the type of person who you want to know what's happening every single month, I maybe wouldn't select this auto add. It'll still show up in the bank screen regardless if you don't select this. It'll just auto match it. And then you hit save. Applies to all accounts, but you really would want to pick the account that you're paying it out of. And then, yeah, and the next time it hits the bank account, it'll show up as something to be able to match to. That's it. It's all set. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. I really appreciate everybody joining. On our next webinar, we're going to talk about recurring transactions and how you can use them to create further efficiencies within your QuickBooks file. And I encourage anyone at any point, if you have any questions, to feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. And thanks again.
Thank you so much, Brittany. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.